Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm in my robe because I've totally been binging all day season 3 of The Crown, and I have so many thoughts. So, first and foremost, I think the thing that drew me into this season has got to be Tobias playing Prince Philip. But first, I'm going to say Matt on the previous season did a great job of nailing the pompous aspect of the younger, less mature Prince Philip. He was very unlikable, but there was a part of you that kind of wanted to like him, but he was very unlikable as a whole. But Matt did a great job of portraying that overall. However, Tobias, I'm not even gonna try to say his last name. He's Frank from Outlander. Love him, phenomenal actor. He absolutely embodied this role. It was perfection. I am obsessed with his role in this show as Prince Philip. He really showed you a softer side of Prince Philip, a side that you just probably did. I know that I did not personally really associate with Prince Philip. I'm just kind of obsessed with his role in this show, in this season. I think the one-on-one meeting with him and the astronauts was really almost painful because you could see the disappointment or devastation when they didn't meet his expectations. And I think it was just really, really interesting how we saw these little moments with Prince Philip that were just emotional. I did think it was funny that the astronauts acted really American in their visit, but hey, we are who we are, right? I love the little chat that him and Elizabeth had after he had his meeting with the astronauts, and how he said, "Oh, I'm glad there were no little green men to know that to think that that's all that Earth had to offer." But yeah, I really just think it was interesting how they kind of shined a light on how important people also put other people on pedestals, and how no matter who you are, we can all be let down, you know? I mean, it's a fact of life. I think it was really interesting how this season, I think more than the other two, at least in my opinion, really, really drove the point home that, they are human, but they're not, only in the sense that they're not really allowed to indulge in said humanity. And while I know that there was a lot of liberties taken with this show, it still is an interesting idea to broach the fact that, you know, this is how it is. The grass is not always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. But it's just a fascinating idea to think, gee, they really did have problems. They really did struggle, but it was probably a little harder in the sense that they weren't able to indulge in that side of their humanity. And that has got to be just hell. Seeing Prince Philip's relationship with his mother was really interesting too, and then seeing how he kind of changed his viewpoint and he came around, because one minute he's like, no, I don't want her here, and the next he's like, okay, I was wrong. I kind of got that feeling. It was really interesting. I think Olivia Colman as the queen, at first I wasn't really feeling her, but I think that was more just getting used to her, because a lot of people were like, oh my god, they're changing the cast, but that had to happen. So after a couple episodes, I really feel like she fell into the role quite well, honestly. Of course, Helena Bonham Carter was amazing. As always, I feel that she completely embodied the persona of Princess Margaret. Nailed it. And speaking of princesses, the Erin Daughtery, I don't know. Sorry if I'm not saying that right. As Anne, totally fantastic. I mean, perfect as well. They really did some amazing casting choices. Josh O'Connor, great job with Prince Charles. again, I feel like we saw a softer side. We saw this young man on the verge of adulthood trying to find his way in the world and his place in the world and the firm, aka his family. So it was an interesting peek into his world. And again, liberties are definitely taken. But honestly, again, it's broaching the idea that, hey, he dealt with some stuff too, and it really makes you feel for him. And it's an interesting look between the relationship between him and Camilla and where that kind of started. She's always been villainized. I was one of them. I've always been a Princess Di fan. I will forever. But it has been interesting to see, you know, kind of the origins of that and where that started and how things got messed up. And this season definitely showed that, which was surprising, that the Queen didn't have anything to do with that, or so this show says. So it was very eye opening in a lot of ways. Now, of course, with every adaptation or making of a movie, show, book, whatever, there's always a certain lighting cast, and it depends on how that lighting is cast, whether it's a soft, flattering light or a harsh light, and what feeling they really want the audience to walk away with. And I definitely feel the sympathy for the royal family in this season for sure. I felt a lot of sympathy for them, and it's really making me very excited for season 4. But it's going to be interesting to see the lighting and how they portray things, especially with the Diana years coming up. The Queen visiting the Duke of Windsor, that was a sweet moment. I really kind of liked how they kind of, let bygones be bygones, and, I thought it was interesting when the Duke of Windsor, basically said, you told Elizabeth you don't feel that Charles can do the job, because that's something that's been hinted at for a long time. So that was really kind of good that they touched on that, because that was very obvious up until that point. At least it felt obvious that she felt that way. So it was nice to have someone say it. Keeping with the Duke of Windsor, I was really glad to see that, Charles or someone in the family was keeping a relationship with him, as that meant a lot to him. And I think it was great to see kind of, I thought it was a little wild that he handed over the letters, that the Duke handed over the letters from Charles to Elizabeth. But I think it was an interesting point of Charles saying, I won't, I'm going to get all that I want, meaning Camilla and the crown. And obviously that didn't work out. So it was almost a very naive viewpoint. And another point that I think really drives the suspense for next season. And of course, Princess Margaret was a big part of this season. And it really, your heart goes out to her, and I love when she said, war is our love, contentment is dull. And, I love when, it reminds me of a favorite movie of mine, War of the Roses. But even in despair, she still made it look pretty fabulous. So, but looks are not everything. But when she fell asleep in the car, though, that was pure Helena Bonham Carter. That was so funny. I did like that one thing when she said, how could he ever be thrilled with me when he's so excessively thrilled with himself? Okay, perfect line. Totally going to remember that, because some people are very full of themselves. But she is just an all-around class act. Absolutely love it. She's magnificent in this role, and I believe the full cast is going to be back for the next season, season 4. And speaking of Margaret, I really liked how at the beginning of this season they showed her vying for the crown, because both her and Elizabeth as children thought she would be better at it. I really kind of love that they put that in there. And did anyone else get a little misty in the eye when the Prime Minister Wilson made his exit? I was not expecting that. And then, of course, it shoots to the moment when Princess Margaret's dog is crying at her door because she tried to kill herself or overdosed. And I was like, oh my God, so much emotion. And you just, again, your heart goes out for Margaret. And it just infuriated me that her husband, like, is cheating on her. And then when she does the same thing, he has the audacity to play the victim. It's like, what are you even talking about right now? Get out of here. I was a little sad when Roddy ran away, but then again, he's a boy. She said it herself. It's true. um, I love the little sisterly moment that the Queen and Margaret had near the end of episode 10. And then the little pet talk she gave her. It was nice to see because at the beginning you see how their relationship is so strained because she's the queen. So it was nice to see that moment. And again, all of these actors, you can so tell that they just pour their souls into these roles, and it shows, and it's magnificent, and it's just another reason I'm so wholeheartedly anticipating season 4. And like I said, that's the Diana years. Diana is coming on season 4, and I am excited, and I'm a little worried to see the light and how they portray her and what angle they're going to go with here. So it should be interesting for sure. I don't know if Fergie is going to be mentioned in next season, but Fergie and Diana were kind of in the same years, so I don't know if that's happening. But I heard they started filming, I think, already for season 4. So I'm very excited to see that. Regardless, and also. Fun fact, Gillian Anderson will be playing Margaret Thatcher next season, so that is definitely something to look forward to. And I do hear that they want to do 6 seasons. I don't know if they've been greenlit, but 6 seasons is the goal, I believe, for this series. And I, for one, hope that is not a rumor. So if you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.